Welcome to Solo Shot First, and today we are going to be having a look at the Admiral Piett figure from the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. Now, I've actually had this card quite some time. I've never got round to just reviewing it, which is just quite simply just been so busy. So I just thought it'd be a nice opportunity to get this out. And I've seen quite a few other people's reviews of this figure and heard some very, very good things. The actual card back, I think, of this is really, really nice. I mean, obviously that is a scene straight out of Return of the Jedi. And you've got the 40th anniversary logo in that top left-hand corner as you look at it. I don't mind those logos when they're that sort of size, because I don't think it detracts in any way, shape or form from the card. The warning logo obviously in the top right, the Kenner logo in the bottom right-hand corner. And you've got the Admiral Piett obviously on that really nice red name pill and red name back. Sorry, the red background behind the figure itself. So it does actually make the figure stand out really nicely. On the back of the card, this is VC 270. And it literally just, again, we won't talk about all that legal information on the bottom, but you've got the nice Star Trek. What am I saying? You got the nice racetrack design and obviously the Star Wars Vintage Collection logo. And it's showing the other figures in what is, I suppose, essentially part of this wave. So you've got Starkiller, Cal, Velsartha, the Cassian Andor. Obviously, we've got Piett here, Hunter, who I have reviewed recently, the Cassian Andor from the Aldani mission, and the Clone Trooper, which I know I'm digressing a little bit, but it's becoming one of those figures which is, I think, not the easiest to get your hands on. Anyway, I digress. We are talking about Admiral Piett, and I think one of the, I suppose, the beauties of this particular figure giving us this new sculpt is, you know, what it can do is it will hopefully be able to lead to us getting more of these Imperial officers down the line. And, you know, one of the things that I suppose it certainly does, if I just move that there, sort of brings it to the attention is, you know, if you think going back quite a while, we had the Death Star briefing room, which was, again, a nice set. And actually, I think, you know, I've actually had one of those, and I think it does display very, very nicely. But the figures are well overdue an update. So I suppose essentially what this sort of figure should do is give us the opportunity of that sculpt to for them to look. I'm not saying I want them to redo that whole sort of Death Star briefing room pack. Although it will probably sell like hotcakes, to be honest with you. You know, you can imagine them having that, you know, like the Dark Times Vader in there, and then, you know, using this body sculpt to do pretty much the rest of those characters. Possibly not Wolf Yularen, but anyway, that's enough of that. It just does give you that opportunity to do that. So let's get this figure out of the packaging, and we'll have a look at him in a little bit more detail. Okay, so there we have him released from his plastic bubble. And the one thing that you can see is I've actually managed to get this figure on a peg stand. So he is leaning a little bit with a wobble. As you can see, I can't get it all the way in, but I suppose it's not too bad. I mean, you can probably get him. I can probably get him to stand pretty decently with the articulation that he's got anyway. I could probably get him to stand quite freely, but I just thought I'd put him on one of those peg stands just to show you that. So in terms of the actual look of the figure, well, actually, let's bring him right in to camera, and then let's just bring that image back in. So I think from certain angles, I think that's a pretty... I'm not going to get that to focus properly, am I? There you go. it's a pretty decent interpretation. I think it's pretty good. Listen, it's more than close enough. I think the one thing that you would say if you're looking at the head sculpt, and I don't know if this light is going to show it, but his eyes do look very, very dark. I'm not sure I suppose they do show that a little bit on the actual card back image, but not quite like that. It's almost, from certain angles, it's almost sort of like he's either been punched in the eye or he's got sort of, I don't know if you want to class it that, but like almost zombie-like features. But listen, it's a really, really good head sculpt. And, you know, in terms of the look of these sort of Imperial characters, you're not really going to be able to do too much in terms of just, you know, the nature of the sort of the garments that they're wearing. So you do obviously have those sort of knee-high boots, the nice sort of black boots, which are a very good colour. They make that nice and shiny, and the sheen is very good. I do like the way that they've done the sort of the baggy parts on the trouser. I think that's very, very nice. And what he does actually have as well is that hat is removable. It's a soft, a really sort of, if I can sort of showcase that, it's a soft goods plastic. So there's plenty of bend and maneuverability in there to sort of get that on to his head. So it's a really nice looking figure from the front. Now I know some people have mentioned again about these insignias on these figures. I've got to admit, I don't get too worried about that. It's more a case of, you know, actually being able to have the figure in hand for me, for my, you know, diorama displays. This will certainly go on my big Death Star diorama that I put together a few years back. If you haven't seen that video, please do check it out, because it took me ages to do, and I worked really hard on it. Anyway, from the back, again, look, nothing to write home about, you know, quite plain, but the trousers look really, really good. I think the colouring of the figure is very, very nicely done. In terms of articulation, again, this sort of being a completely new sculpt, I suppose you know, pretty much, I believe, then you've got everything that you would want on this figure. You've got articulation at the head, at the shoulders, at the elbows, articulation at the wrists. I'm not sure if there is a hinge in the wrist or not. Yep, there is a hinge in there. A swivel at the waist. That full butterfly hinge. Articulation at the knees and at the ankles with the rocker ankles as well. So as good as it gets. A great looking figure. Accessories that you get with this, you just obviously do get the two accessories. You get the blaster. There is no belt or anything for that, but again, to be fair, I mean, off the top of my head, I can't remember if you ever really saw them having weapons holstered at all. I probably need to go back and have a look at that in a little bit more detail. And the second accessory I've already shown you is that cap. So, and it's a good soft plastic. You know, I've heard some people, I think, sort of say, well, does the, you know, is the cap sort of slightly oversized? Does it fit quite correctly? I think that looks pretty good, to be honest with you. And I'm more than happy with this figure. As I said, it'll be good. It does, what this does is it does lend itself for us to then give us other Imperial officers just using this this body sculpt. So all they've got to do is, you know, develop the head sculpts. It's as simple as that. You know, if you're a carded collector, then this is a great card. It's on the thicker cardstock. It's a really good image on the front there, obviously with the Death Star in the background. Admiral Piett, you know, on standing there. Yeah, there's not a lot more I can say about that. As I said, you know, if you're a carded collector, you're definitely going to want it because it's from Return of the Jedi anyway. And if you're a loose collector, then it's a great figure to have. I'm not going to say army build because I don't think you can do it with this figure, but you know, they could give us more of this type of Imperial officer. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, then please hit the like button. If you're new to the channel and you want to subscribe, please do. There'll be more videos coming shortly. If you've got any questions or any comments at all on the video, then please leave them in the comments section and I'll come back to you as soon as possible. I said, hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.